What's up, Squidward? You are not looking good. I think he's on the drugs. Anyways, each character is addicted to a drug. What did I just say? Look at him. I'm with the dummy. You are the dummy, Patrick. I'm sorry, I love you, but one of the most common and partially plausible of the many theories is that each character from the series is addicted to a drug.
Don't do drugs.
And is suffering from its after effects. SpongeBob's immense joyfulness, pain, and knowledge of the bizarre could be an acid trip, but it doesn't just stop there. Patrick's laziness and drowsiness are because of his consumption of marijuana, which has shockingly similar effects, and Squidward's mood and poor job performance could be the result of heroin abuse. And Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff's temper could be due to their cocaine usage. Scary is the right word for it, for sure. Guys, don't do drugs. They're all legal and very bad for you, and you will probably die. So don't do them. But that actually makes sense. Yeah, they're all a little off. Bikini Bottom was created due to nuclear testing. This one I believe, and I've probably told you about it before. But for those of you who haven't heard it, one theory suggests that Bikini Bottom is the actual bottom of Bikini Atoll. Atoll, I don't know, on the Marshall Islands, where the US government conducted 23 nuclear tests during the Cold War. This actually happened, making SpongeBob and his aquatic friends the subject of nuclear radiation exposure. That would make sense. They all are not normal fish. Alternatively, they could be the people previously working in the nuclear plant now turned into aquatic mutations. Wait, you're saying they used to be people? Kind of a stretch. You're reaching. Thus explaining the modern letter system and attire of these supposed creatures, cut from the real world. Watching the show after reading this changes our outlook entirely and conveys a much more sinister tone. That would make sense why they basically act like people in a lot of different ways, but they're fish. I feel like they would look more like people if that was actually true. So I think they're just fish that got, nuclear exposure, and now they're just crazy. The main characters are the 7 deadly sins. Yeah, those are put into a lot of cartoons. Possibly the most ridiculously plausible theory is that the 7 deadly sins, sloth, pride, greed, gluttony, lust, envy, and wrath, could actually be represented by the main characters. Patrick representing sloth, obviously, spending most of his days under the rock. Mr. Krabs is the clear representation of greed. Yeah, he literally sold SpongeBob for like 6 cents in one episode. That is greed. Squidward's moodiness places him in wrath. I don't know about that. Plankton's desire of Krabs' success leaves him as envious. Gary is gluttony. Patrick would be gluttony. Sandy as pride. I don't know if those are accurate. Y'all are reaching a little bit. I don't believe this one. Squidward has been placed as a caretaker for SpongeBob by his rich parents due to his mental illness. His parents aren't rich. I literally thought SpongeBob's parents were cookies my entire childhood. Even though he's a sponge, I never even thought at all that they were sponges. I was a dumb kid. SpongeBob is obviously very weird and acts very peculiar. Peculiar. I cannot say that word. Oh my god. And can quite possibly, being all grown up, yet still be childish, be a victim of unique mental illness. Maybe. Therefore, his rich parents, not wanting a mentally ill child around, sent him to live alone in Bikini Bottom, but secretly sent Squidward as his caretaker to ensure that he doesn't do anything too crazy. Squidward hates him. He always tries to ditch him. This actually explains why Squidward doesn't move away and is still happy at the same house for many years, despite SpongeBob giving him so much torment and many reasons to move. No, there was one time he actually moved away to that private squid community, but then he came back because it was boring. Krabby Patties are made from actual crab meat. I've heard this one. I totally believe it. I really think it's true. Mr. Krabs is obsessed with money, and this theory suggests that he might have gone through great lengths to procure it. I can't talk today. Why does he keep the formula so secret? Away from even his own cook and the public. This theory suggests that Mr. Krabs may have executed his own kind to make the patties, thus making him a cannibal, or, from his point of view, a very wealthy cannibal. That would explain why there's literally no other Krabs besides his own mom in the entire show. The Krabby Patties are made from a crab meat substitute. A counter theory working in Mr. Krabs' favor that he has actually found a vegan crab meat substitute, thus his customers can enjoy the deliciousness of the crab meat while he is free from all the guilt. This also explains the failure of the chum bucket, as the people dislike the actual fish meat, while they make a perfectly good substitute in the Krabby Patty, thus explaining the fact of why Plankton wants Krabs' formula ever so desperately for the secret meaty substitute. That would make sense. It's like, oh, I can't make this vegan substitute that tastes just like the real thing. But no, I believe that it's actually crab meat, because there's no other crabs. SpongeBob is a war veteran suffering from PTSD. Maybe. Let's read on. Waking up the same time every day, following the same schedule and timeline, day in, day out in a small town with a mediocre job, sporting the same attire, and a Redditor suggests that SpongeBob is actually a war veteran suffering from post-war PTSD, thus being his inner desire to follow the same pattern every day. That does make sense. A lot of veterans actually do that. Including his verbal pattern, calling people of higher authority sir all the time, and showing tremendous respect to all his elders sounds like military training, which he can't seem to shake off no matter how hard he tries. Or he's just a little childish and has a possible mental illness of a different kind, not PTSD. I don't think I believe this one. I think he just is a little immature. The show is a metaphor for World War II Germany. I think y'all are reading a little too much into this. It's a kid's show. There's only so many hidden messages they're gonna throw in there. Oddly enough, the characters actually represent pre- and World War II era Germany, with Squidward, a failed artist and an all-out jerk, as Adolf Hitler, wanting to get rid of his neighbors. Well, yeah, but Squidward was never, a murderer. He never tried to kill anybody. Patrick represents the innocents caught up in the catastrophe, and Sandy, with her Texas heritage and admirable tenacity, represents the US. No. Mr. Krabs finally represents the rest of Europe, looking down upon Hitler for his atrocious acts and overall tyranny. At least that's what the plausible theory suggests. No. Every character has a mental illness. This one, yeah, definitely. Look at them. They literally have water jugs on their heads. Another similar theory suggests that not only SpongeBob, but in fact everyone in Bikini Bottom has a mental illness or disorder. SpongeBob is very neurotic and anxious. Patrick is easily regarded as being bipolar. Squidward is an obvious narcissist. Yeah, he's pretty into himself. And he always blames everyone else for his problems, when really you just have a crappy attitude. Plankton is a sociopath, while Mr. Krabs is a covetous psychopath due to his twisted mannerisms, and this could be tracked to identify a mental illness for almost everyone in the show. Now, while this theory seems ridiculous, there is some truth to it. Obviously, that's for you to decide. Comment below what mental illness you think all of them have. But it's all an incredibly sophisticated representation of global warming. One particular dark theory harbored in the most conspiratorial corners of the internet suggests that the whole show of SpongeBob is an intricate metaphor for global warming. SpongeBob is pollution being caused by big corporations like Mr. Krabs' business, while Patrick, the lazy Western civilization, does nothing to stop the pollution and ends up not caring about it at all. Yeah, they always try to tell people that we need to recycle when really it's the big corporations that do all the pollution. The real hero is Squidward. Really? The narcissist who wants to get rid of pollution and climate change, but is constantly shut off and ignored no matter how hard he tries. Outlandish maybe, but it makes some strange sort of sense. I don't believe the last part about Squidward. No. People ignore him because he has a crappy attitude and he doesn't care and he blames everyone else for his problems. That's why. But yeah, there are definitely some metaphors about pollution, global warming, all that stuff, because there's a lot of trash in the cartoon that you probably didn't notice. But yeah, that's it for all the weird theories. Comment below if you believe any of them or if you have your own theories you want to share. Talk about them in the comments, let me know, and click the screen to watch another video and subscribe, and I'll see you later.